Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our weekly update. As you can tell, once again this week, I am not in the studio. Shane is still working on some projects in there, and he asked if I wanted to shoot the update someplace else. I think that briefly he considered going back to the beach again, and then we walked outside, and it is freezing cold out there. So he said, how about if we shoot it back in the new family library? And that sounded great to me. So that's where we are this morning. This is our new Family's Library. This is open after church on Sundays, I believe also on Tuesday afternoons. And so moms and little ones and dads can come down here. We've got all kinds of children's books, and it's been getting some good use. This is back in the fireside room over in the chapel building. So if you know a young family that might enjoy bringing some kids down here, let them know about the Family Library. Let's talk about stuff that's happening this week. And I asked Shane to give me a photo of the day, and the one he gave me was this one of Rick York. And this is Rick talking at a men's breakfast, I think it's last Saturday, and they're just talking about things that are coming up in 2022 for our men's ministries. And they've got some big breakfast plans, they've got a barbecue plan for the summer, there are 3 different Bible studies happening weekly for our men. There's the Conquer series, they're thinking about a men's retreat, and they're going to be participating in a Mexico trip coming up in July. So, men, we'll be talking more about some of these things as the time gets closer, but big thank you to all of you guys that made the effort to come out Saturday morning to be part of our men's ministry. All right, Lance and Becky Lewis. I introduced you to Lance and Becky last week, mentioned them on Sunday as well. Lance is going to be our new pastor of adult ministries. And Lance will be starting here on March 27th. That'll be his first Sunday here. And Becky and their son Will are going to be here that day as well. Becky is a 3rd grade teacher who has to finish a teaching contract in Eastern Washington. Will is still in school as well. So they're going to be doing some commuting back and forth until the school year is out. But Lance will be getting started with us that week of March 27th. One of the things we could use help with, you probably know that finding housing in Sequim is really difficult these days. And they are looking to rent when they first get here. They have been looking for houses that are coming available for rent. And if you have a lead, you know a place that might be available for them to rent, if you could let the church office know so that we could pass that information along, that would be really helpful. So again, we're just trying to help them find a place to live, but really looking forward to having them come and join our church staff and our church family. Sunday we're going to be continuing with the series called Unexpected, When God Changes Our Plans. This week we're going to look at the character of Gideon. And Gideon certainly had some very unexpected things happen in his life. This is also a communion Sunday, and that means that our kids will be staying in the service with the adults for the full service. It also means if you normally are joining us online at home, you'll want to collect your elements for taking communion with us on Sunday morning. Something else I'll tell you about for Sunday morning, and that is we're in the process of giving our stage area a facelift, a pretty significant facelift. And we are kind of mid-project right now. So when you come in on Sunday, that stage is going to look really different. It actually is going to be all black on the walls. Don't panic, it's not going to stay that way, but we are right now at that midpoint of giving it a facelift. So just so you know. Something else that will be available this Sunday are some Easter devotionals. This week is the beginning of Lent, and Pastor Britt ordered about 30 of these devotionals called The Wondrous Cross. They're put out by Christianity Today. And so those will be available in the entryway on Sunday morning. These go quickly. I can't promise there are enough for everyone, but if you would like to get one of these devotionals, Sunday morning they will be available in the entryway for you. Speaking of Sundays and big news coming up, you probably heard the governor's announcement that starting on March 21st, the indoor mask mandate is going to be lifted. And that means that the first Sunday for us, as far as a church goes, that we won't be asking people to wear masks on a Sunday morning will be March 27th. So Sunday, March 27th, that's about 4 Sundays from now, is when requesting you to wear a mask on Sunday morning, that's going to go away. Now, some of us are super excited about that, been waiting for the day. I know there's some others that aren't quite so comfortable, not sure if it's a good time to take the mask off or not. What I would say is that we're at a point now where I think if you have health concerns and they're very legitimate and you believe that masking is important, that you should be sure to wear a good quality mask, one of the N95 masks, and take the precautions you need to for your health. We're going to have some N95s available in the entryway starting on March 27th, so that if you come, if you have a concern, you forgot to bring a good mask with you, that will be available. But as far as the general expectation, we'll be going along with the state guidelines and will not be asking people to mask up indoors starting on March 27th for our Sunday service. For everything else, that begins on March 21st. Something else coming up very soon, starting on March 7th, is going to be the next session of Griefshare. That will be on Mondays. It's from 10 to noon in the morning. And so if you have lost someone or you know someone who has gone through loss recently, is on that journey of grief, I would really encourage you to become a part of Griefshare. And I know that sometimes this is a hard thing to do. When you're dealing with grief, we just kind of want to close down. But people who have gone through Griefshare, I've just heard stories over and over again of how much help it has been, how much comfort and closure it has helped them to come to. And so if you're in that place, I hope that you will sign up for Griefshare. Just contact the church office and let them know if you would like to be part of that. That's starting on March 7th, and that session will go through May 23rd, meeting once a week on Mondays. A project that is coming up, and you'll have a chance this Sunday to sign up for it. Our community engagement team got the idea to provide cookies for our local law enforcement. And so they're looking for people that will sign up to bake 2 dozen cookies. Now, they want to provide some cookies for several months, and so they'll have a sign-up sheet where you can sign up to do 2 dozen cookies. You can sign up to do that for multiple weeks if you'd like. A great way just to show our local law enforcement that we care about them, we support them, and we're praying for them. So this Sunday, if you come to the in-person service, there will be a chance for you to sign up for making cookies. And then if you're not here in person but you'd like to get on the list, you could certainly call or send an email to the church office to let them know. How about a thought for the day? This comes from Exodus chapter 20, verses 2 and 3. This is actually the first of the 10 commandments. The Lord said to Moses, "I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me." I love hearing people tell the stories of things that God has delivered them from. People have been delivered from drugs, from alcohol, from relational addictions, from performance obsessions, all kinds of things that God has delivered us from. And what we find when we come to Jesus is that our life lived away from Him before we knew Him was really kind of life lived in Egypt. For Israel, life lived in Egypt meant a life of slavery. And one of the things that people share over and over again when they come to Christ is this sense of freedom, that they are released from things that have bound them up for years. You know, what's interesting about the story of Israel, though, is that even though they were freed, even though God took them to a new place, when hard times came, we find the story, they started looking backwards and actually kind of wishing they were back in Egypt, because at least they knew how things worked back there. And they could fall back into those old patterns. And so right at the outset, God reminded His people that they could only have one master. They couldn't follow Him and live in Egypt. They couldn't worship Him and worship idols and other gods. He had to be the only one. We're going to talk a bit about what idols may look like for us as more modern people. I think they look different, but I don't think they've gone away. And so we're going to talk about that, think about that. I'd ask you to be thinking about it in preparation for Sunday. Is there anything from your old life that you have let come back in and start calling the shots in your life now? Are there ways that you've gone back to Egypt? Are there ways that you have allowed an idol to be erected in your heart? We just started Lent this week. Now, I didn't grow up in a background that did much with the high church calendar, a lot of the holy days on the Christian calendar. But I've come to appreciate what Lent is about. And of course, part of Lent is the idea of fasting, of giving things up, preparing our hearts, hungering for Christ and for His life. And so many people will give something up during this period of Lent. I read someone recently who had decided they were going to give up eating bread, just as a way of kind of bringing home to themselves that they were hungering for God. Maybe something to think about in terms of, are there some idols in your life, is think about, is there something that it would be really hard for you to give up? And why is that? Why would it be hard for you to let go of whatever it is? It may be a thing, it may be an activity, it may be a habit. Why would that be a hard thing for you to let go? And maybe you will try in that practice of Lent, giving it up for the next few weeks and see what God shows you through that. Anyway, Sunday we're going to talk some more about this area of idols and the role they played in the story of Gideon, because it's an interesting part of Gideon's story. Well, let me pray for our day. Lord Jesus, thank you for the things that you set us free from. We ask your forgiveness for the things that we allow to take hold of our hearts again that draw us away from you. Father, I pray that you would open our eyes if there are idols, whether they are addictions or fears or the lusts of the flesh, whatever those things are that have maybe taken hold of our hearts in ways that you want to set us free. I pray you'd give us eyes to see it and that we be willing to release those things back into your hands. Help us, Father, today, I pray, to follow you with a full heart. And I pray this in the name of your Son. Amen. Well, that's going to take care of us for today. I hope we'll see you Sunday morning, either in person or online. Don't forget, it's Communion Sunday, so if you're joining us online, be sure you have something collected for the bread and the cup. And until then, be blessed.